Good evening and welcome back to the Shadow Realm. I'm your host Ghostly, and today we are continuing with Death is Sunhaired. Previously, we followed everything that our male lead wanted, and we wound up getting possessed, we wound up getting killed, and we wound up doing something else. I can't quite remember, it was kind of to be continued from what I recall. So this time around, we are going to play the game again, and we'll see what happens. I'm thinking this time around we'll do the complete opposite and disagree with everything he says and see what happens. Maybe we'll get possessed quicker, and we'll have to see. My laptop might be a bit louder than normal. Unfortunately, this is going to date when I'm recording this. Where I live is currently a heat wave, and I don't have a means without completely ruining my microphone audio, so the laptop fan might just be a bit louder than normal because I can't cool it and me down without just making me completely unintelligible. Right, so this is all the same. We're going to do non-binary again because I know that playing as different genders will change it slightly, so I figured if we did everything as non-binary, so kind of middle of the pack, and then we'll have a baseline of what to expect to then see what the difference is between playing as a male or a female. I looked up that word that I was struggling with. I couldn't find it spelled SC, so if somebody let me know, but I found it ACSIMILE, which is facsimile, basically meaning exactly reproduced or duplicate, so it means that we're kind of putting it in and fit in. That word. Yeah, so I felt really good. I couldn't do it last time, so I spent a lot of time. But yeah, I could find it spelled SC, I could find a spelling with CS. And it was said the pronunciation guide was like facsimile. Anyway, I've spent way too long on one single word. Anyway, this is going to be all the same as last time. So let's get back to meeting him. Something is off when you next come to. You're not laid flat in the mud. You're in a bed, much softer than the one you're used to. It is comfortable, and comfort is something you've known little of in your life. Feeling it now is simply strange. You are warm in the blanket swaddling you, but there is also something cool touching your hands. When you finally open your eyes, you see a man staring down at you, a desperately love-struck expression on his face. Oh, hello, Vasily. Yeah. Again, I think if we play as female, we'll have more of a striking resemblance, and I wonder if that would lead to the possession happening a bit quicker. Liza, Elizaveta, you're finally awake. I've been waiting for this day to come. It's me, your husband, Vasily. You blink once, twice, 3 times, hoping that things would make sense. They do not. First of all, your name is Calamity. He doesn't even know your name, yet he's talking as if you've known each other for a long time. You must have been confused with someone else. My name is Calamity. Your voice is scratchy in your throat. You just have to hope that he can hear you, because you don't think you can get any louder without straining yourself. I'm just going to adjust the music to be a little bit quieter. There we go. How can I be your Elizaveta when I'm not even a woman? The man smiles at you, as if he had anticipated your reaction. I am not surprised that you do not remember me. It has been so long. I think even the most devoted wife would lose a few details eventually. But I know you very well. Your hair, your eyes, your skin. You are her spitting image in all the ways that matter. And that's what's the most important of all, isn't it? This man seems to have left reality behind a long time ago. So we're going to insist he's wrong. So again, we're going to do this route just completely against him and see what happens. There must be some kind of misunderstanding. I don't know you. We've never met. I can't be your Elizaveta. You are. You might have different memories now, but that matters not. I would know my own wife. Even if you are no longer my wife, exactly. I'm just a peasant from your village, sir. Vasily looks at you confused. Village? The one I came from. You do have the title to the land surrounding this area, do you not? Well, yes, but now that you're here, you don't need to worry about that dreadful place anymore, do you? Okay, so last time we did, I suppose I do not. This time we're gonna be angry. You might not have wanted to take responsibility for it, but it is your village as much as mine, if not more so. Any shortcomings we have can be laid at your feet. You, my dear, have no shortcomings at all, but I do understand what you are trying to say. Vasily looks away from you for a brief moment, as if mulling over what next to say. Unfortunately, like you, I have also not been in very good health. It has prevented me from carrying out many of a lord's required duties, and for that I apologize. It seems to be serendipity alone which brought you to my side. Perhaps the two of us can recover together, and then I can help your compatriots. You'd be able to help us with the plague? A plague? Yes. Many of the townspeople have succumbed to it. Do you know anything about it? I'm not sure. Do you believe the illness you have now is your village's plague? No. I've been ill my whole life. The plague that's been spreading. It starts with a rash on the neck, and I've never had that. I see. If it's something like a rash, then most likely it's being spread by pests, isn't it? Rats and the like. If I remember last time, they kept mentioning rats around the estate, like the rats kept being in the rooms and the gardens, and so I really want to know if the rats that keep getting mentioned have something to do with this. But on the neck, if people were being bitten by rats, wouldn't people be getting rashes all over? On the hands and arms and legs? I don't know. Suddenly Vasily raises his voice at you. Do I seem like an expert on rodents to you? Yeah, see, look, rats. I think you are an expert on rodents. I think you have control of them. That is my bet. Anyway, we'll see if I'm right. Sorry, my voice is a bit croaky today. The sudden commotion causes a squeak to emanate from the other side of the room. In the corner of your eye, you can see a quick movement from under a small table. Hang on. Okay. Yes, you do seem like an expert, because last time we said no. Well, considering the condition of this building, it does seem likely that you would know more than most nobles about pests. It occurs to you that you haven't seen any servants around, only Vasily. Perhaps he dismissed them and they're just not in this room. But it also seems likely that he lives completely alone. You do have a point. This castle has seen much better days. I no longer have the funds to maintain a full retinue of staff, and I do not have the energy to clean this entire building. I'm afraid that this room you're in is one of the least affected areas of the estate. Liza was always much better than me at the day-to-day aspects of running an estate. Since she passed, it has been a struggle to take her reins, so to speak. Are you tired, dear? Huh? You felt fine, but now that you think about it, it's a struggle to keep your eyes open. Vasily moves a hand to tuck a lock of your hair behind your ear. You don't have strength enough. You don't have enough strength to bat him away, so you let him. I will return when you're ready. Sleep well. That night you are blessed with the miracle of dreamless sleep. It gives you a sense of familiarity that has been missing from your journey of recovery in this castle. All your life, your sleep has been unencumbered by either dreams or nightmares, and while sometimes you are jealous of the nighttime adventures others have, usually you are glad not to be haunted by imagined ghosts. You can't tell how long has passed, as there are no clocks, and only a dim red light suffuses the room. Was the sun setting or rising? Next to you sits Vasily. A servant stands at the door. But the area is so shadowed that you can barely tell they're a person, let alone anything else about them. Are you feeling better now, my dear? Putting aside his unyielding affection for a moment, you take a full account of your own health. You wouldn't say you feel strong, so to speak. You rarely do, even in more favourable environments. But thankfully, you no longer feel like you're lingering at death's doorstep. Whether it was Vasily who tended to you, or the servant lurking beneath the doorframe, you do have to admit that you're doing much better. Answer politely. So we did politely last time, so blunt. Are you feeling better? Yes. You think he was expecting you to say more. A long stretch of awkward silence passes between you. Finally, he breaks it himself. Do you believe that you'd be able to walk? I think so. I did bring a servant to help dress you. I'd like for us to walk the grounds together, if you'd be amenable. The servant steps forward, stepping just enough into the dim candlelight that their features become just barely visible. Even close to you, you'd have trouble identifying any defining features. Oh, this time it's the male shadowy figure rather than the female, which was last time. I think you two would have much to talk about with each other. The servant, who isn't dressed like you would expect of a maid or a butler, bows hesitantly towards you. Don't dawdle too long, please. I fear if we delay, I might not be able to go outside until tomorrow. All right. You don't have anything else to do, so you might as well accept his offer. It might help to become more familiar with just where exactly you're being held. The servant quickly removes your bedclothes. Where did they come from? And with a serious demeanor begins to dress you. You try to engage them in conversation, as you've never met anyone like yourself in this way, but in contrast to Vasily's sentiment, they seem to be uninterested in talking about anything, deflecting most questions and answering a few with only a single word. Although now, in intimately close proximity to you, their face seems even less defined. It isn't long before you're shooed out of the room in your new outfit, then led along until reaching a grand hall. Hello, Calamity. Do you think you've regained enough strength to walk outside? I believe so, yes. It had taken a few moments for you to balance on your feet again. It must have been over a day since you last walked, but before long you were moving about naturally. Splendid. If you do feel weak, Please tell me right away. I can carry you. Question him. Something seems off. Are you sure? I recall you saying that you weren't in very good health yourself. Vasily smiles at you, a sweet expression, like reenacting an old joke with a dear friend. You're very attentive. There's no need to worry about me. I'm feeling quite well tonight. Even if I weren't, my illness has never particularly affected my carrying strength. Now, come along. The outdoors awaits. Vasily grabs you gently by the arm, pulling you forward. Though his movements are not forceful, you feel it nigh impossible to escape his grip, even if you wanted to. So we're not running out of here anytime soon, because he's going to catch us and just be like, nope. With his free hand, he opens the door, revealing very little. It is nighttime, although barely so. The last rays of sunlight illuminate the scenery just enough to make out the outlines of your surroundings. Did I take too long to get ready? No, not at all. This is the perfect time for an outing. It is? Vasily nods as you pass your arm, a clear signal to start moving. Indeed. I know it might seem rather strange to you. If I could take you out during the daytime, I would. My illness prevents me from going out in the sun. I get terrible burns and rashes. I see. And is that also why you haven't been able to carry out your noble duties? I'm seeing no save option. I was going to quickly save because I know that this part had a few different options. Ah, damn. It is It is a large part of why, yes. It is very difficult to make arrangements that prevent you from going into daylight, and the rashes are so painful that accidental exposure renders me nearly immobile. He looks up, his eyes scanning the horizon. The sky is not quite black yet. In fact, it is just about the same color as Vasily's hair. Ooh, pretty. This is about the earliest I can safely go outside, so your timing was perfect. We have the whole night ahead of us if you'd like. While the sky above is beautiful, the grounds are somewhat less so. Well, I mean, he told you before that, he's kind of let things fall by the wayside, probably for the last century. As you walk, he tells of long ago gatherings that happened here, when the property was still fit to show to others. Treading lightly along an overgrown pathway, he tells you of a truly marvelous party that he held shortly after he and Elizaveta married. How the two of them held hands and laughed with their friends as the sunlight dappled through the trees. At one point he leads you into the ruins of what was once a statue garden, but was now surrounded by family graves. Vasily regales you with the histories of the long-dead ancestors that had once walked the land. He talks so much that you cannot get a single word in. Perhaps if you felt ill or weak he might listen, but otherwise he seems primarily interested in sharing stories he likely hadn't been able to share with anyone. His verbal tour doesn't come to a lull until sometime later, when Vasily squeezes your arm and slows to a stop. Can I get a save here? Just a little save. Nope, no saving. Alright. He looks down and you follow his gaze. At your feet stands a gravestone. It's only by the blood moon a single legible word is revealed. Elizaveta. The stone is heavily weathered, just like the statues, but it also shows signs of having been intentionally damaged. Below her name, the dates of birth and death have been roughly carved away, leaving slipshod gashes on the memorial. I feel like we should learn when Elizaveta died, I feel like at some point we must learn how old he is. Anyway. Next to the grave is a hole large enough to fit an adult man. This is where my dearest Liza rests. and next to it is where I will rest too, if I ever fall into the clutches of death myself. If? Vasily laughs lightly, though there's very little mirth in the sound. A small morsel of dark humour, forgive me. Calamity. Sometimes one has to make their own levity when life grows bleak. He looks down at Lizavetta's grave, staring at it resolutely, an uninterpretable expression across his face. I dare say only the most powerful of beings could find a way to cheat death. Could you look at me when you say something like that? Because you just look shady when your eyes are off to the corner. He says nothing else for some time. It occurs to you that, if you are willing to interrupt the moment, this may be a chance to finally talk to him. So we said nothing last time. Let's ask about the gravestone. Those markings on the grave, where her birthday and death day should be? What happens? It doesn't look weathered. It doesn't look weathered like the rest of the stone. Simply a vandal, nothing more. I think you vandalized it. You've certainly seen your fair share of vandalism in your time, but it seemed like a strange explanation for the gravestone. The grave sits on the Lord's land, as little attended to as they are, far away from most other civilization. Why would petty vandals venture this far out and then risk punishment defacing a noble's grave? And why would they only chip away the dates, leaving her name? You look at Vasily, wanting to ask him further, but his darkened countenance gives you pause. He is frowning now, an expression more severe than you've seen on him throughout your entire outing. You aren't sure that you would survive asking more about the gravestone. We're going to keep pressing. I want to press. I want to see what happens. Has it been difficult finding a mason to repair it? We have a family and, oh god, the place name again. Mizerable? We're just gonna call it town. We're just gonna call it town, because I don't want to keep trying to pronounce it, because I've got no hope. With generational memorial masonry skills, perhaps. Oh, look, his eyes have gone demonic. No. Vasily cuts you off, curt and decisive. His features look somehow sharper, his eyes seeming to glow in the dim light, hollowing his dour expression. When possible, I'll contact a mason of renown. This grave deserves more than uneven etches of a village peasant. Perhaps an entire refresh is in order. Maybe some grand engravings. A book by her side, maybe. Elizaveta could devour books in a single evening. His icy edges melt, if only slightly, as he quietly reminisces. Ooh, this one's shaking. Oh, I want to do the shaking one. How did she die? The words tumble out of your mouth like water from a broken dam. I suppose you'd be curious about your past life. Wanting to know if one's death as well as life is only natural. You turn and realize he is quite close to you. His face is cast in shadow except for his mouth, a taut line. Ooh, spooky. Not really. Like, I'm not spooky, but I really like the visuals. You know, I am quite curious about something. Oh dear. I think we went wrong, guys. With the words scarcely said, Vasily transforms into a blur of black and red. You feel fingertips rip at your scalp and forcefully shove you forward. Oh, this is possibly one of the prettiest expressions I've seen of you. I just love the detail. Sorry, I'm gonna... We'll get back to this in just a second, but I'm just loving the depth of the drawings and the slight glow to his eyes and the smile. Just, I'm really into the art. Your head hits the tombstone, leaving your vision blurry and mind dazed. Vasily. It has to be Vasily, right? then maneuvers your shocked body in front of him. Forcefully, he tilts your head to the side, exposing your neck to the moonlight. Although shock has left you numb, you feel a bitter chill as Vasily approaches close to your naked skin. A sharp pain pricks your neck. Your body screams to push Vasily away, to fight, to run, anything. But your limbs fail to listen to the pleas of your mind. Heavy, sticky blood flows free from the punctures, but it doesn't drip down your shoulders. Rather, Vasily eagerly drinks it. The graveyard around you fades into nothingness. Faintly, Vasily can be heard, his voice fuzzy and unreachable despite being so close. Oh, Liza, if only you had not been so frustrating. Our ill-fated cycle continues. Next time will be different. No matter how long I must wait, we'll find each other again. And then, the curse will be. His voice grows further and further away until you are alone in the sea of darkness. Numbness overtakes your entire frame, your sense is lost to you. Your last thought is the urge to bitterly laugh, dying upon Elizabeth's grave. Okay. It's a bad ending. I wonder what would happen if we did the other option for how did she die, and then if we did, change the topic. I want to do the whole grave section again, so we're just gonna speed through. So we'll just keep playing as non-binary for now. We'll disagree with everything, so we're still being difficult. Hello. Calamity. There we go. I'm just going to save that so I can kind of get through a little bit quicker. Cystic is wrong. Don't talk about my village like that. I believe you to know the rodents. Yes, you are in charge of the rodents. Come on. Blah blah blah. We get no dreams. Come on, let's go for a walk. Bluntly. Come on, we're almost there. Question them. Let us go outside. So he's yapping. Okay. What happened to the gravestone? Simple vandal. Blah 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 blah. Not happy with him. Keep pressing. We'll do this one because we did that one. How did she die? Okay, this is all the same. So it doesn't matter which version of how did she die. So we'll change the subject next time. Okay, so load. That one. Calamity. Sisty's wrong. Don't talk about the village. Blah 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 blah. Come on. Yes, you are in charge of the rats. King of the rats. You know all about the rodents. You've set this plague upon us, sir. All the dreamless sleep. He's just watching us sleep. Blah, 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 blah. Be blunt. The servant helps us. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Question him. So we're being difficult. Okay, we're almost there again. Okay. Yep. Okay. Gravestone. Change the subject. Before you can change your mind, you quickly change the subject. You'd prefer to keep your head on its shoulders. Smart move. We died twice because we got nosy. Is there anywhere close by we could sit down? My legs are feeling a bit wobbly. The words scarcely leave your lips before one of your knees give way. With a sharp inhale, you balance yourself on Elizabetta's tombstone. Do you need me to carry you? No. I just need to rest my feet for a moment, and then we can walk back to the castle together. Hopefully your emphasis on the word we acts as enough of a hint. Yes, of course. I know one of the old benches is round here somewhere. Ooh! It's a little bit different this time. Interesting. Vasily guides you to a secluded part of the grounds, wiping leaves off of a bench that is otherwise still in good enough condition to be usable. He gently sits down on one side, then takes his place. Sorry, I thought he sat down first. He gently sits you down on one side, then takes his place beside you. He is just close enough to be overly familiar, yet not enough for you to tell him to move away. We can stay here for as long as you need to. Well, as long as the sun isn't out, I suppose. But we have some time yet. There's no need to rush. Ha, you made a joke. You were being honest about your legs. You never had much physical endurance to begin with, and laying in bed for so long had weakened you even further. It is now the deepest, darkest part of night, long after sunset and long before sunrise. You would normally be asleep, but spending days resting in the home of a nocturnal man has changed you. At least for now. It makes you uneasy. You want to go back to your old routine. Something about this place, about Vasily, is wrong. You don't want to return to the village empty-handed, but his usefulness towards solving the plague is yet to be determined. But this is something too big to make a decision on right now. You need to think on it even more, and to do that you'll need to return to the castle. The journey back to the mansion goes by quick, as Vasily concluded tour leaves enough room for you to recount your own tales. You discuss much of the town. Vasily appears rather ill-informed of his own territory. A rat scurries across your path, interrupting your thoughts. Just how many could inhabit these grounds? See, there's something with these rats. I need to know. Once the two of you retreat back inside, you expect him to leave you with a servant, but instead he insists on taking you back to your bedroom. That is what he calls the room you've been resting in. You are tired enough by now that you let him stay without qualm. You do, however, insist that he does not stay in the room whilst you are trying to sleep. In exchange, he makes a show of making sure you are comfortable before he's satisfied enough to allow himself to leave. I bet he watches us while we sleep. The whole thing exhausts you even more so than the walk did. Once you are finally alone, it does not take long to slip into slumber. That night, you are blessed with the miracle of dreamless sleep. Ooh, interesting. I think we had the dream of the first woman, of his previous wife, before. Hang on. It gives you a sense of familiarity that has been missing from your journey of recovery in this castle. All your life, your sleep has been unencumbered, blah 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 blah. Your ill mood is intensified by the fatigue in your limbs. Last night's walk took more out of you than you expected, and now you don't know if you will even be able to get out of bed today. It is, in fact, daytime. Like before, the dull red lighting is the same. With no clocks anywhere in the room, you have no way of knowing how long you've been asleep. The room isn't completely dark. There are a handful of candles scattered about on tables, their flames gently flickering. Oh! Yeah, so we keep seeing that figure, because that figure appeared when we had the dream last time. One of these candles illuminates the outline of a human figure, Vasily. The fire's refraction makes him seem almost like an otherworldly figure, a being who shouldn't exist in this world. But you dismiss the thought as a wild fantasy of the drowsy, and instead consider how to start off your day. We waited last time, so let's call out to him. Good morning, Vasily. He looks towards you, then approaches your bedside. Without the fire so close, his silhouette solidifies, becoming a steady presence rather than an almost ghost. Good morning, Calamity. I hope you slept well. Very. I don't think I've ever slept better in my life. The sentiment would be an obvious lie back home, but here, for once, it is completely true. Despite how run down everything is, it's still a level of comfort far greater than you're used to. However, a single night of sleep hasn't performed a miracle. You still feel too weak to get out of bed. Sorry, I had a tickle in my chest. How long have I been asleep? Long enough to start building up your strength. That's what's most important, yes? I suppose. It'll be hard to get used to your regular schedule once you get back home, but at this pace, that won't be for a while yet. The view is beautiful. You could see a fountain through the thick glass of the tall windows. I'm jealous you could see that. I'm teeny tiny. I'm like, no, give me a nice box I can look through. I said this last time as well, and I will keep repeating it. Because I am jealous. Isn't it? That's why I made sure to have you rest in this room. Looking at this scene always invigorates me. I imagine you'll be running around the grounds again in no time. It's a fun thought, although you feel he's overstating it a little bit. Are you literate? To an extent. I can bring you some books if you'd like. Please do. It might not be the most fruitful idea. While you can read, you worry that the books he has might be the dry, verbose sort that you have trouble with. For a moment you think he's going to leave the room, but instead he starts conversing with a maid who had been hiding in the shadows so discreetly you hadn't noticed her at all. She leaves quietly, then a few minutes later reappears with a stack of books in her arms. Vasily thanks her as he transfers the books from her arms to his, inspecting each spine as he goes. Very good. Very good. He places the stack next to you, taking care not to accidentally be too forceful. These should be suitably diverting, I think. Please tell me or one of the maids if you need more light to read by. I will, thank you. Before the day of the plague, when sickness did not ooze out of every door and hope outweighed fear, you often read to the village children. The kids, many of whom could not yet read, would gather and listen hungrily. Sometimes, if your energy allowed, you tried to teach them a word or two. Although parents hated how little you could do for the village, they seemed to appreciate the entertainment you could provide for their children. Not that it ever lessened their biting dislike for you. I mean, if you are literate enough to try and teach the kids to read, why couldn't your role just be a teacher or a minder of the children if you're too sick to work the field? Oh well. You pick the top book off the stack and start reading. To your surprise, it isn't some kind of dry history or records like you thought a noble might have in his home, but rather a novel. It's a rather scandalous one, actually. Even though you're reading silently and nobody can see over your shoulder, you can't help but feel like you're reading something you shouldn't. But something about seeing these characters in your mind's eye make terrible decisions over and over again makes you feel better about your own choices. You haven't killed your husband to then marry his brother, then killed the brother to marry his recently widowed father. You appear intrigued by that story, Calamity. Quite the dramatic tale, no? Vasily leans close to see what page you've paused at. A warm sensation prickles across your cheeks. Move away from him, because again, we're trying to go against him. Instinctively, you shift away from Vasily approaching frame. Physical closeness at home wasn't common, and it puts you on edge. Oh, that grin's gone. I was only peeking at what passage you were on. It wasn't my intent to startle you. Intent or no, the air grows awkward as Vasily resettles into his chair. He picks out a book from the pile he brought, then begins to read silently. Once in the thick of the plot, the book becomes so entertaining that you lose track of the world outside of it completely. You have no idea when you start feeling drowsy, or when the book fell out of your hand onto your chest, or when your eyes closed. Whoop! Okay, so interesting, we didn't have dreams that time. For once you were alone, you hadn't realised how long it had been. For almost all of your waking hours since you arrived here, Vasily has been by your side. You find yourself grateful to have a moment without his presence. An easy inhale fills you with contentedness. Still in your night clothes, you get up and walk around the room. It is unchanged from yesterday, but despite how long you've been here, you haven't been mobile enough to get a proper look at it. Okay, so interesting, because by now we would have seen the wife's spirit twice. So it seems going against Vasily is not letting the spirit in. Woo! We didn't see this painting. It is remarkable only in the sense that you've never been in a room this fancy before. Even in decline, it's clearly worth far more than the sum of all your own possessions. One item stands out in particular, a painting on the wall above the drawers. It was impossible to see while you were resting, but you get a clear look at it now. It doesn't look like most of the other art you've seen here. The style is too different. It must be commissioned by an antique painter. It depicts a lone woman, and as your eyes drink in her exalted portrait, a foreboding cold surges through you. It's her, the woman in your dreams. Okay, I think there's a slight contradiction here because we've mostly been having dreamless sleep. But I think this clearly connects up to if we'd seen the woman at least once or twice, and then Vasily's not in the room. So I think this is just a case of, reusing lines and certain paths connecting back on each other. The same headdress, the same clothing, the same imposing posture. She looks remarkably like you, as if she was you. Born into a different universe. Surely, there is no doubt. She must be Elizaveta. You have to leave. Damn this castle and damn the village. Something is wrong here and you are not going to be part of it any longer. No matter what it means for the plague. Acting on an instinct, you don't even attempt to find your personal clothing. You simply leave. Be careful. Best do it in the day, because Vasily is strong. You ignore the few servants you pass by in the parlour. You don't want to risk getting Vasily's attention. You're only wearing night clothes and have no weapon. If you were to provoke his anger, you would not survive. The servants in turn leave you be. Each one you pass seems more like a shadow than a person, their silhouettes fading into the dark corners and curtains surrounding them. When you look back, it was as if they were never there at all. Rats dart across the hallways. Their echoing squeaks like teasing laughter. As one boldly runs past your feet, you swear it glares at you with unnaturally red eyes. The whole thing is made all the more nerve-wracking by the fact that you don't know your way around the castle, having only been in a small part of it. You get lost several times, wondering if this building is a labyrinth constructed to frustrate you personally. I feel that, my dear. I really hope you get out. Come on, you've realised it. Go, protagonist. You need to get out. Few things would surprise you any longer. Miraculously, you do make it to the end of the hall, just beyond where the front door would be, and where Vasily is lying in wait. Now, Where are you scurrying around to, dear? I just got lost. You got very lost. Why, you ended up circling the whole building twice. Yes, I was just, trying to find a snack. Were you? Yet you didn't talk to any of our servants, who would have helped you out gladly. As he talks, Vasily walks towards with even, angry steps. He crowds you against a wall. There is a door nearby, the very one you came through to get in here, but it is now closed, and you suspect locked as well. Why? It almost seems to me as if you intended to leave. No, I wasn't. I promise. You don't need to lie to me, Calamity. I've been alive far longer for simple tricks like that to work. I had thought you were finally willing to make nice, Liza. But it seems that I misjudged our guest here. I'm not Liza! Yes, and that is exactly the problem. But no matter. Oh, we get the same frame again. He grabs you roughly by the hair, moving your head to the side to expose your neck. His mouth widens in a grin, exposing two long, pearl-white fangs. He gives a low hum as he hovers his mouth dangerously close to your naked neck. It has been so difficult to stay in control around you. People don't tend to like being confronted by a vampire's power. But if you can't stand me anyway, there's no point in holding back anymore. Goodbye, Calamity. The sweet taste of your blood should be a fair trade for how torturous this ordeal has been. There's so much you want to say, but in the moment all you can do is scream. A piercing pain suddenly erupts in your neck. Goose flesh sprouts across your body as an overwhelming numbness overtakes you. Vasily drinks from you like a man thirsty in the desert for days. It is painful, a burning sensation made worse by the lack of his control. When your vision starts to fade and you lose consciousness, you welcome it. Death must be better than this. Okay, interesting. So clearly going against him just leads us to death. But there's probably a few other options to kind of see. You know, we've not asked him about the illness, and I wonder if we'd agreed to the book if we'd have gone for a bit longer. But in any case, I'm slowly dying from the heat. I do not recommend recording in heat waves, I'll be honest. So I am going to end it early, unlike our previous hour-long recordings. Next time we play, we'll do some other routes. I think we'll be disagreeing again for the most part, because I want to see what happens in the graveyard if we ask about the illness. And I think if we do agree to let him sit with the book, there were some options there. I want to see what happens. And then after that, I think we'll probably try exploring some of the options as either a male or a female. I'd like to know what happens if we give our name as Elizaveta. And yeah, so there's a few different options for us to still go. There's still quite a lot that I'd like to explore personally. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this. Until next time, dearest visitor, farewell.